Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe my channel. The grand hall of the Avalon Hotel shimmered, a constellation of crystal and champagne. At the heart of the whirlwind stood Ilara and Leo, the world's most watched couple. To the adoring crowd, they were a portrait of modern royalty, her hand resting lightly on his arm, his smile seemingly effortless. But beneath the surface of the glittering tableau, a silent, heartbreaking tension pulsed. Ilara's smile, a feature once described as radiant and unguarded, was now a masterpiece of precision. It never quite reached her eyes, which held a faint, weary shadow. Leo's posture, usually relaxed and open, was rigid, his shoulders set in a defensive line. He was a fortress, and she was the lone sentinel at the gate. A well-meaning dignitary approached, gushing about a recent philanthropic endeavor. "You two are such an inspiration," the woman effused. "A real-life fairy tale." Leo's fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around his glass. "We're just trying to make a difference," he replied, his voice a carefully modulated echo of its former warmth. Ilara's response was a graceful, pre-programmed echo. "It's our shared passion." The words tasted like ash. Their passions had once been wild, private things. Midnight debates about philosophy, shared laughter over burnt toast in a cramped kitchen, the quiet comfort of simply reading in the same room. Now, their passions were press releases. Later, as they moved through the crowd, a camera flash erupted a little too close, a little too aggressive. Leo instinctively shifted, placing his body as a shield between the lens and Ilara. It was a gesture that had once been chivalrous, born of fierce protectiveness. Now it felt like a reflex, the flinch of a soldier in a perpetual war. Ilara's grateful smile to him was tinged with a profound sadness. They were a team, yes, but a team besieged. In the hushed silence of their penthouse suite, the facade crumpled. The grand door clicked shut, and the weight of the performance fell from them like a heavy cloak. Ilara slipped off her heels, the simple act a sigh of relief. Leo walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, staring out at the city lights as if they were stars in an unreachable galaxy. He didn't need to speak. She could read the story in the line of his back, in the way he ran a hand through his hair. The vibrant, rebellious man she had fallen in love with was being slowly sanded down by the relentless grind of public expectation and private battles. "Do you remember," she began, her voice soft in the expansive room, "that little pub by the sea? The one with the sticky tables and the jukebox that only played songs from the 70s. A genuine smile, the first of the evening, touched Leo's lips. It was fleeting, but it was real. "You spilled your cider trying to beat me at darts." The memory hung between them, beautiful and agonizing. It was a relic from a past life, a time before the titles, the headlines, the endless, silent struggle against the tide of tradition and scrutiny. That laugh of hers was now a rare currency, spent only in the most hidden moments. He finally turned from the window, his eyes meeting hers. In their depths, she saw not the public figure, not the duke, not the icon, but the man, exhausted, loving, and trapped. "I miss us, Leo," she said, the words a raw confession that shattered the last of the evening's pretense. He crossed the room in a few strides, pulling her into his arms. It was an embrace of passion, but one of shared solace, of two people clinging to a single piece of driftwood in a vast ocean. He buried his face in her hair, and she felt the tremble that ran through him. "This life," he murmured, his voice thick. "It's costing us. Us." For their most devoted followers, the ones who hung on every photographed glance and analyzed every joint appearance, this subtle shift was a silent tragedy. They saw the way Ilara's hand would sometimes linger on Leo's arm, not in possession, but as if reassuring herself he was still there. They noticed how his gaze, once full of boyish adoration, now held a complex map of worry and a ferocious, weary love. The connection was still there, stronger than steel in some ways, but it was being tested in a furnace not of their own making. They stood there for a long time, wrapped in the quiet of the night, the glittering city sprawled beneath them, a testament to a world they were supposed to be conquering. Yet, in their hearts, they were fighting a much more desperate battle, the fight to protect the fragile, beautiful truth of what they had once been, and the hope of finding their way back to that secret cove, no matter how stormy the sea had become. The real story was not in the grand halls or the flashing lights, but in the heartbreaking, quiet tension of two souls trying to find their way back to each other, one guarded glance, one fragile memory at a time.